Hi everyone. I am just going to try and find this on my computer. So I'm here. Just give me a minute to find this on my computer. I hope everybody's having a good day. It's fall here in Minnesota. And it's actually Indian summer. So I mean, it is beautiful out. Although it brought all the bugs back out. It is not coming up yet on my computer. If somebody is here, if you could say hi, let me know you're here. That would be great. Because I'm not seeing anything come up. But I'm going to give it just a few minutes. And, okay, let me see. I think I found it. See, if I have it on my computer, then I am able to maybe catch some comments. Not always. Okay. I have to, there is a delay too. So I'm going to just pull this up so I can catch some of those comments. And okay, I see that Lisa's here. So I want to say hi everyone. Hi Rosario. I am happy to be here today. Lisa is off enjoying the beach, which is why I am doing her noon slot, which is 10 o'clock her time on the West Coast. And I am also going to be live at 2 o'clock on my regular time, 2 o'clock Central Time. So I hope you join me then too. Today I am sharing how to create coasters using my Stamps with Unity. So my stamps are patented and they fit together like puzzle pieces. So you're able to create really great backgrounds. And this is all 1-inch squares, this one. Now, this one right here is a combination of 1-inch squares. Nope, these are all, it could be a 1-inch square. These are all the 1-inch triangles and a 2-inch triangle. These were created to work together to create backgrounds and to create quilt patterns. So right there you see a great quilt pattern. And I decided to make coasters with them. They are so easy to make and I'm happy to share it with you. But before I do that, I want to remind everybody that I'm with Bella Crafts Publishing. We do a free magazine 4 times a year. The fall issue is all ready. I just have to upload it and get it ready to go out to everybody. So I'm thinking on Friday it will go out. So if you haven't signed up yet, Lisa will put the link in here. And also you could go on our Facebook page. If you click on Learn More, you can sign up right there and it'll come right to your inbox. Also, we do ebooks, which we sell, which helps us do all these great crafty projects for you. So check those out too. And be sure and like, share, and comment on this video. We will be doing a giveaway. And this week, Bella is sponsoring the giveaway. So it is a prize package worth at least $100, which will be given to a random winner. So like, share, and comment with the hashtag BellaCrafts. And you'll automatically be entered, and we will announce the winner next week. The winner from last week I will be announcing at 2 o'clock on my 2 o'clock live. So be sure and check that out too to see if you won. So I am going to bring my camera down and get set up and show you how to create these great coasters. So bear with me for just a minute while I get my camera out and put it in place. I keep trying different ways to do this to make it easier, and You know, honestly, I haven't really found a great solution yet, but I keep trying. So these, again, are what we're going to create today. They are awesome coasters. Now, these are two different tiles, and I'm going to show you what the difference is. And we're also using my Crafters Pigment Inks. Pigment inks stay wet a lot longer, so you're able to do the blending technique I'm going to be showing you today. And we will also be using my faux quilting stamps with Unity. So these are made, they come in a package with 5 different shapes and 1 pattern. So to do this, you'd need more than 1 package to mix and match the patterns. But these stamps, I have a patent on these stamps, and these are made with no lip, and that's what my patent is on. So you're able to take the stamps and butt them up right next to each other to create continuous patterns and to create quilt blocks and quilt designs. Sylvia, thank you for sharing with your groups. We appreciate that. Hi, Dorothy. So the stamps, like I said, I have a patent on them, and they are able to be put together to create quilt blocks, and they go together perfectly to create backgrounds and quilt patterns. So those are the products we'll be using today. My stamps from Unity, my Crafters ink. And I want to show you what the difference is in the tiles. Okay, so this one was made with a tile from like Home Depot, Lowe's, just a hardware store. And you can make these so easily because these cost like 14 cents. The back of them aren't pretty, so you would want to put a thin cork on the back, or a piece of felt or foam, something on the back. But these are 4 1/4 inches, and my stamps are 1 2 inches. So this is a 4-inch square once I complete this pattern. So I had to add, I added a backing of 1/8 of an inch, and then I painted the edge of the tile. So it doesn't fit perfectly on here, and I don't stamp directly on here. You could stamp directly on here if you used a product like StazOn. I have not tried that. The other tiles that I like to use when I'm doing coasters are these marble tiles. These are more expensive. I think it's like, I always buy them in a package, and it's just under $8, so they're like $1 a piece. But these ones have a nice finish on the back, and I never put a backing on the back of this. Whereas on this one, you want to put a backing because you don't want to scratch your tables or anything. These ones are just slightly less than 4 inches. So what I have to do is trim my pattern down just a tiny bit, because what I'm doing is I'm stamping on paper and putting it on the tile. Now you can, like I said, stamp directly on, I know I've done it on these coasters. I haven't stamped directly on these ones, but on the marble ones, I have stamped directly on these. But you, again, you need to use like a StazOn, and it will last. And those are beautiful too. But for this technique, I wanted to use color behind my pattern to really make it pop. which is why I start out with, I'm going to put a craft sheet down because this is kind of messy. So I start out with just a plain piece of white cardstock, a heavyweight cardstock. It's not copy paper. This is 110 pound cardstock. So I start out with this, and then I grab several colors of ink, and I'm using my Crafters ink, which I said is a pigment ink. And with the pigment ink, it stays wet longer, so you're able to blend those colors really well. And I would always use between 3 and 5 colors. So I'm just going to put them all out here. And I have been doing this technique for years. I've done it on fabric. It works really well on fabric. You're able to add color to fabric and stamp over it, and that is really beautiful. And I just always use stencil brushes for this. Now I'm just going to press down to make sure my brush is hasn't stiffened or anything. And I just grab some color. Now, these ink pads have been used a ton. If it's a fresh ink pad, I would go off to the side a little bit because they're so juicy. But I just take the stencil brush and I just start adding color randomly. And like I said, I start with my lightest color. And I just kind of put it around and blend it out just a little bit. Then I'm going to go with my Limelight, and same thing. I'm just going to go in various places, and I don't want to do everything exactly the same. I want to put the colors always not right next to each other so it doesn't create a pattern. I want it to be really random. I see that I got a little hair there from the brush. Then I'm going to use Lilac. So you can do this. I'm making a coaster today, but you can do this for a card background and stamp over it. So there's a lot of things you can do. I think I have to put some more ink on my Lilac. Use my re-inker. So I do this and I cover the entire piece. And I know it looks like a hot mess. I mean, but that's the fun part of creating, is making a mess and then making something beautiful out of it. So I continue with all of the colors and then I fill in. And well, I'm going to do a little bit more. I'll do like one section here for you to where it's totally done. But I just keep adding, and then where I think I'm missing something, I'll just add more of that color. But when I'm totally done with the whole thing, then I take a bigger stencil brush and I just blend all of those colors together. And if I need to, I'll come in with a tiny bit more ink. But the inks are usually wet enough that I can come in and just blend them and they don't get muddy. Now you want to be careful when you're doing this that you don't, here I'll do it right here. So you don't put the yellow down and then come over it totally directly, because then you get a muddy mess. So you want to keep them separated with little gaps, and then you come in with the bigger stencil brush and blend all of those colors together. And when you're done, you have something like this. If there are still any gaps at that, if there's still some gaps that you think need to be filled in, you could come in with a tiny bit of color anywhere you wanted. But to me, this looks really good. You blend the whole thing, and then, because these are pigment inks, you take a heat gun and heat set it. That will stop the ink from continuing to be wet. It'll dry the ink, and then you'll be good. So I do it until I have an entire piece. And this size right here is actually just half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So with this, I would have enough for two card backgrounds if I wanted. Or in this case, I have enough for 2 coasters. And I'm going to show you how easy that is now. For this one right here, I used my 1-inch squares. I'm going to show you, I'm not going to ink this up, but I'm going to show you, well, maybe I will ink it up. So these are some of my 1-inch squares. And for this, I'm using the black Crafters ink, which is Night. And when I'm using these stamps, a lot of times I don't use an acrylic block unless I'm putting patterns together. So for this, because they're red rubber, there's enough right here for you to grip. And I just ink it up. And for this, I'm not going to start all the way in the corner, but I just stamp down. And I leave this stamp exactly where it is. That way, if I needed to, here, I leave it exactly where it is. This way I'm able to place this stamp directly next to the first stamp. And I know it's perfectly even. You don't need a stamp positioner or anything. You're able to just stamp continuously around. Now, I'm going to stamp this one really light. Well, this one has a definite pattern. Let me wait. So you're able to just keep butting these up next to each other. And I'm going to go 4 across. I'm doing a random pattern. This one had a definite pattern because I used the chevron and the plaid. This one is just a random pattern. And you can just, I've made quilts this way, where you're able to do it on fabric and just stamp across the whole thing, and this keeps it exactly where you need it to be. And then you're able to start your second row And then I start picking up the stamps I've already used. Now I'm going to use this one again. I would just continue creating my pattern this way. It makes it so easy to create a pattern. Now you don't have to do it this way. If you're more comfortable using a wood acrylic block, you can totally do that, because you can see through an acrylic block and you would be able to totally line that up again easily. So that's how I would create the 1-inch pattern all the way across. Now I'm going to show you if you want to put patterns together. You can take an acrylic block. Let me get a bigger one. Okay, so you can take an acrylic block. Sorry, I had my phone off. I'm not sure if you guys heard that. So you can take an acrylic block and build your pattern however you want. And have it so that you can stamp that way. And I've done that. I like these stamps together. Right here, this is the plaid, and I got 2 triangles of the chevron and 2 of the leaf. So I have this on my block. So you can see there's 4 1-inch triangles, which creates a 2-inch triangle, which matches the 2-inch triangle on the opposite side here. So when I'm doing a pattern like that, I'll put them all on the acrylic block, and what's really cool is that you can stamp this pattern out, and you only have to stamp 4 times to create a pattern. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. And I'm going to ink that up. Okay, so right there you have a mini quilt block. Now to create this pinwheel pattern, I stamped that like this, and I'm going to turn this 1/4 of a turn. And then, because you can see through the acrylic block, and I can see, I gotta get my head down here, I hope it doesn't get in the camera. You can see where to put this. You can make your second impression, which is the second part of the pinwheel pattern. So it was this way. You turn it one more time, and you do that again. Trying to get close enough so I can see and not get in the way of the camera. Not sure if I got that totally lined up. And then you turn it one more time. So this is 5 stamps, and you were able to stamp out 4 times, but it's really 20 different stamps, and you didn't have to do it one at a time because they are able to fit together like puzzle pieces because there's no lip on them. So there you go. Isn't that beautiful? It's so easy, and you can create all kinds of patterns. I mean, I have got a catalog on my computer of a couple hundred different quilt patterns that I can do, and just rearrange them on my blocks to do this. So isn't that amazing? I mean, I really love this technique. So this you would have to heat set again because I use Crafter's ink and it is wet. So I'd have to heat set this or let it dry overnight or for a few hours to make sure it doesn't bleed when I do the next step. So I would just heat set that. And I have one here that I have already heat set. And I also have a tile. So these were white tiles. And I didn't want the white showing, so I just went in with some acrylic paint and give it 2 coats around the edge and up at the top area because I wanted black to be the background. So I'm going to trim this right here. I'm going to trim this. So this is exactly 4 inches. And I'm just going to trim it up. So that I get rid of the background area and I just have the stamp. That looks really close. I'm just going to take a sliver off there. Nope. Okay. And I have this piece of yellow cardstock that is 4 1/8. So, okay, this is, I thought I had to trim that one side. I can see right there, that's where the inking ended. And on that side too. I guess I cut that piece of yellow a little smaller than 4 1/8. So I'm just trimming this down just a titch so that that little bit of yellow will show through. There we go. So my tile, I painted this and let it dry thoroughly. You can use a heat gun to speed up that process if you want. And then I would just take some decoupage medium and I have to grab a brush. So you could use glue. I like to use a decoupage medium to put this on. I just pour a little bit onto the tile. And when I do this, I like to make sure I get the edges because that way the edges will have a nice, this is gloss, so It comes in a matte finish also. I like the gloss for certain projects. And that way it will have a nice finish all the way on the edges too. So I just cover this with a thin coat. If I have too much, I just take the excess off. And then I'm going to put the yellow down so that there is just a tiny bit of that black showing all the way around. And you could use a brayer to make sure you get a good connection here, but I just use my fingers. And I go really well around those edges because I want to make sure this doesn't come up. And then I do the same thing, pour just a little bit onto that cardstock. And you can see there's a little tiny bit of a lump there. I don't want all that excess. And then I take my pattern and I'm going to trim that just a tiny bit more because I want a little bit more of that yellow to show. And I'm just taking off like a sliver of it on two sides, because that way it'll give me just that little extra that I want to show of that yellow. So I'm going to make sure this is wet. And then I'm going to put that down. Yeah, see, I like more of that yellow showing right there. And then you always want to do a top coat. Now, I like to make coasters. I think they make great gifts. And you can use different mediums. I do like a decoupage. It protects what's underneath and doesn't seem to puddle the water, you know, like if you have a cup with ice. It doesn't, it hasn't affected any of that. And I like to come, after I put that top piece on, I like to come all the way around. And I would let this totally dry. And then I would give it a second or third coat. Another option you have, I used to work with resin a ton. And on this one, I actually, see where you get that high gloss, beautiful sheen? On these, I used a pour-on resin. So this is a 2-part epoxy resin. You do equal parts. You stir it thoroughly for a minute and you pour it on. And you make sure there's no air bubbles or anything. You can see some of the resin seep through. I had this entire bottom taped, but still seep through a little bit, and that doesn't bother me because that's on the bottom. But it does give it that beautiful finish. So that's another option if you want more of a high gloss sheen. than this. But I think with the decoupage, it does the job, and it's still beautiful. So that's how easy it is to make. And these are really inexpensive, because if you're using these coasters or these tiles, like I said, I pick them up. Regular price is 14 cents at my hardware store. Sometimes they're on sale and I get them for 9 cents a piece. And when they're that cheap, I'll go in and I'll buy like $10 worth. Just so I have them for projects, because you can do these and stack 4 of them up or 6 of them up and tie them with a pretty bow. And that's a great gift. So, and inexpensive. It just takes a little bit of your time to do it, but these are beautiful gifts and easy to do. So I'm going to check over here and see if anybody had any questions that Lisa didn't answer. Does Mod Podge hold the heat okay? Dorothy, I've not had a problem. You know, I, for the most part, drink cold, like iced coffee or ice water, cold things, but I have given these as gifts and people put their coffee cups on, and they haven't had a problem. I would do, like I said, a second or third coat to really protect it. Thank you, Jane. I'm glad you like them. This is a easy project to do, and it, like I said, it does make great gifts. The resin adds just a thicker protective coating. The resin, you would never want to take and put like a hot tea kettle on it, but you can definitely put your coffee cup on it. I helped one of my sons. He actually took and built a countertop for his bathroom, and we put resin on top of it, and it's been there a couple of years and it still looks really good. So it is an amazing product. Shelley, yes, it is a colorful coaster. I will go through and read all of your comments and answer any questions that Lisa maybe didn't catch, but we would like you to join our group, Do You Love to Craft? Lisa will put the link in here for you. We would love to see the projects you're doing also, because we love to see what everybody is crafting and doing. So if you want to join that group, we would love to see what you are creating. And I want to remind you guys that I will be announcing the winner from last week at 2 o'clock Central Time when I go live. And at 2 o'clock, I am going to show how to make this cute little teacup, little party favor. And this is enamel painting technique that I'm going to show you. So if you are able to, I would love to have you come back at 2 o'clock and join us. And remember to like, share, and comment this video with the hashtag Bella Crafts, and you'll be entered for the giveaway for this week, and we will announce that winner next week. So until then, be creative, and I'll see you next time. Bye.